hiatus. The turnbuckle bandwagon is back. Since we're back, we're going to realign our energy and reset. And who better to do that with than the good witch herself, the conduit of karma, Kaia McKenna. Kaia, how are you?
I'm doing great this evening. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm great. Thanks for giving us the time. And as we get back into shows and you're a trained athlete, performance is important. What is the proper ratio of hot sauce to food when you do your meal prep?
That's a really good question because anybody who has done meal prep knows that like hot sauce and barbecue sauce are the keys to the kingdom. It depends honestly on what the meal is. Like if I'm doing like I'll do like meals delivered to my house when I'm really busy at work or like extra lazy. And those sometimes need a little bit more hot sauce because like they're super healthy and they don't have any butter or like a lot of seasoning in them or anything like that. So if it's that type of situation, I sometimes will go a little heavier on the condiments. But when I cook for myself, I'm in control of the seasoning. So maybe a little bit less on stuff I make at home, if that's a fair statement.
That is. I mean, everyone's different. In terms of like seasoning, do you go more spicy or more robust, more savory? Now I'm curious because we'll sit here and talk food because I am all about that.
Oh yeah, we can talk about food all day. I love food. I have no problem going to the gym and training for like 6 hours between like wrestling training and CrossFit and whatnot. No problem. That does not bother me one bit. But I cannot like stay on a diet plan to save my life. Like I cannot do it. Like if I could just clean up my eating, I would be like shredded and like this crazy like conditioned athlete looking type person. But I can't. I love like pizza and tacos and fried chicken, and I like steaks, and I just
Who
can't
doesn't?
control my love for food. I love donuts. Oh man, donuts get me every time.
I live in the
when I'm
Northeast.
cooking, I try to change up the seasonings a little bit so it's not like you don't get bored with it, and then you're not wanting to like go break your plan because you want to go eat other things that are more exciting.
I understand. I mean, you got to fuel the jet. I mean, I think a lot of folks maybe don't understand in terms of someone who's an athlete, be it wrestling, be it basketball, be it football. So you're training that on top of, you said, doing CrossFit and other things.
Yeah, that's what I do for my conditioning.
I mean, and you want to stay healthy and stay clean, but you also like donuts and like Boston creams and like pizza. I love tacos. I have a great local Mexican place that is 5 minutes from my house. And
whenever I go somewhere, I'm planning what I'm going to eat when I'm in that city or town. Like I just have a plan. Like whenever I go, and like I've gone around a little bit now over the past year, so like I get excited when I go certain places to go eat certain things. Like,
okay,
oh yeah.
So when you come up to WWR to Worcester, I'm in Connecticut, but it's like an hour drive for me. So I just say the area. What's a spot that you have to hit?
Well, there's the barbecue place right across the street from White Eagle that's really, really good. I can't remember the name of it, but that place rules. And there's another little place, I think it's called Boynton? I don't know. It's like a little gastropub type atmosphere place a little ways down. And they have rangoon made with lobster instead of crab. And I love those. I could literally eat 4 plates of those as my meal. They're so good. It's Poyton. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, but that is the name of the restaurant, and it's in Worcester.
Okay, in the vicinity of the White Eagle, so anyone planning to go up to shows?
Yeah, it's in the vicinity of the White Eagle. You would have to probably drive to it, but it's not like far. It's maybe a mile.
In terms of barbecue, what is? Are you a pulled pork person? Are you ribs? What's your?
Oh, I like all barbecue. I like all barbecue. There's this little place in Davenport, Iowa called Steel Plow, and they do a pulled pork sundae, which is like a mason jar full of pulled pork, and then it has barbecue sauce, coleslaw, crispy fried onions, unbaked beans. It's so good. It's like stick to your ribs food. I definitely try to go to Steel Plow when I'm in Davenport. I like their food a lot.
Folks, if you're ever in Iowa, Steel Plow, hit it up. Endorsed by Kaia McKenna.
Yeah, that, and then like it's not in Davenport, but it's over the bridge in Moline, the Quad City Pancake House with those cinnamon roll pancakes. They're like the size of your plate, and they're so fluffy and delicious. Like it's just, they're the best. And you can get like thick cut bacon, like not like little flimsy like strips of
Oh,
bacon, like real thick, like
slab bacon.
yeah, slabs of bacon. And it's like I say, when this pancake is the size of the plate, it is literally the size of the plate, and it's just the most delicious, light, fluffy thing. Like the cinnamon to pancake to icing ratio is perfect. The last time I was
Oh, that's
there,
good.
Valentina Loca and I went there for breakfast, and it was just like the most indulgent experience ever.
Now, after that, did you like have to go wrestle, or were you able to like go somewhere and chill? Because after a meal like that, I would go home and nap.
Yeah, I definitely just kind of we went back home and took a nap. We were like, oh, we could go to the gym, but we'll just go over at like 3:30. It's all good. We're just gonna like let it all settle.
We have totally not equivalent, but we have some Cinnabons here in Connecticut, but I have to drive like half an hour to get to one because the one that was closer to me got closed. So I have to drive to another mall to get Cinnabon. But if you get them fresh out, they're really, really good.
Yeah, I don't think there's a Cinnabon anywhere near me. I don't really, Cinnabon's okay. Like I just,
Yeah.
you know,
It's not
they're
like
okay.
but it's not a local place making a cinnamon bun pancake.
Yeah, and it's really cute in there. It's not like artsy fartsy or fancy or anything. It's like a really nice little mom and pop place. It's
Love those.
amazing. And Moline, it's great. Quad City
Yeah,
Pancake House.
we've got the diners up and down here through Connecticut, Massachusetts, this area, lots of good support local businesses, folks. I feel like when we're at the end of this, support your local business.
My favorite diner food is I love a Monte Cristo.
Oh,
They're so good. Any time of day.
For anyone who may not know, if you should know, because diners, Monte Cristo, French toast, turkey, ham. I just cover it in syrup and just go
provolone. It's
Provolone's
delicious.
on there. Or Swiss. I sometimes will do Swiss.
Comes with fries. Super great.
Open face, really great. Just knife and fork it. I'm a huge fan of the Monte Cristo. I'm a big French toast guy. If I go to a diner I've never been to, I order the French toast because it's not a complicated dish, but it's easy to mess up. And if you mess up the French toast, like you go too much egg or the bread's not right, I'm probably not going to go back there.
No, I agree completely.
All right, we've discussed food at length and probably we'll go back to it, but let's talk a little wrestling.
Okay.
I became familiar with you seeing you at Camp Leapfrog and now seeing you up here at WWR, and WWR has kind of been resetting itself. What's it like to kind of be a part of something new-ish or something that's kind of booting itself?
I think it's just honestly so great that they are giving female performers a platform as large as WWR is. I mean, it's obviously a sister company to Beyond Wrestling, which is one of the largest indies in America. So being able to have that platform and have that exposure is just incredible as a female performer. And just that the whole card is women's wrestling. And then like there's maybe like one intergender match or a mixed tag match or something is like the specialty, right? It's like the tables have turned. Instead of it being predominantly men's matches with one women's match, it's like flip-flop. So I really like the formula they have going on there. Just there's a lot of really nice, divine, feminine energy at that show. All of the performers are incredible. We have some vets, we have new girls, we have girls in the middle, we have so many different characters and like so many different personalities. And it's just been such a wonderful project to be a part of, especially as a newer wrestler, just having a place that will consistently allow me to perform and find my voice as a performer and educate an audience on my character. It's one thing to establish your character. It's a lot easier to do when you can like tell a story while you're doing it, as opposed to just working all these one-off shows where people see you once and never again. So getting to grow with that fan base over the past couple of months has really been wonderful as well.
I mean, it has been. In your first WWR show, you got to meet one of those characters, a Little Mean Kathleen, who is all sorts of energy coming at you.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy. I learned in my first match up with her, she has too much energy for me to contain physically by myself. So when I wrestled her the second time, I put a nice salt ring around the wrestling ring to contain all that energy and take her down a notch and come out victorious. You got to learn about your opponents. You got to learn from your mistakes. And I loved it. Lots of little witchy secrets and tricks. So
I saw you bust out the salt. I was like, I know what she's doing. I've been watching Supernatural for over a decade. I know what's up.
I'm so glad, because I was nervous. I was like, okay, like I can't talk, but I'm hoping that when I show people this, there's somebody out there who gets what I'm doing and amplifies that. So I appreciate you for doing that for me.
I dig it because I'm always been a fan. I mean, I've been watching wrestling forever. I've been watching wrestling since I was in my 30 years. And it's always cool to see something different and something new and see new folks come up. And when you come out, I'm like, okay, the Good Witch Karma, but like all these little things, you have like your headpiece, you have like you broke out the book of shadows. Is that right? I don't want to misspeak.
Something like that, a grimoire.
A grimoire, a tool to conduct your energy.
Witchy tools.
Witchy tools. And it's different and it's fun and it engages people. And it's just, I really dig it. And when you walk out, the White Eagle as a place there's a different energy when you walk out there as opposed to wrestling at another place. And what's that like when you walk out and there is it's a small-ish venue, but there's a lot of energy there.
The fans there are so wonderful and supportive and are just, I just have to say, after wrestling pretty much a whole year where there was either A, no audience, or B, other professional wrestlers playing the audience, that it is so refreshing and so nice to be in front of fans who embrace you and support you and welcome you and want to see you succeed and like cheer you when you do something good. And having that feedback from fans is so important, because when you don't have that, it's really hard to get a read on like, is what I'm doing working? Like, are people enjoying it? Like, I like it, like, but like, there's nobody here. Like, how do I gauge what I'm doing? And is it effective? Is it interesting? Is it cool? Like, is it fun? I don't know, because there was no reaction. So getting to have that reaction at WWR and like having a fan base there that likes us and wants to see us succeed and grow and supports us and all of our little characters is just like the most wonderful thing. They're all so great. They're such a wonderful, lovely group of people. I love the fans there.
I dig it. It's a great time. Your last match there, you wrestled against Riley Shepard.
I did.
And how was that, her as an opponent? Like, how was that exchange? Because you both seem to really kind of like vibe off of each other.
Yeah, it's very similar vibe, right? Like she's a goddess, like a gladiator of the geeks, but I'm like a witchy goddess. Like it's just such a similar vibe, right? Like the warrior and the mage, like, or as I've seen on Twitter recently, Dungeons and Arm Drags. Like maybe actually Riley and I should be a really good tag team. We had good chemistry. We had a good match. Riley was just definitely had a little bit better stamina and had more strength than me and overpowered me and scored the win. But it's all good because hopefully we'll have a rematch at some point and I can do a little bit of tape study and do a little bit of witchy research and figure out how to edge out a win. Yeah, she's an incredible opponent. She really is. Especially when we talk about like larger than life characters, right? I've always loved that she puts so much thought and effort into this character and wanting to tell people her story in the ring. I mean, anybody can like do their hair and do their makeup and put on a cute outfit and go out there and physically wrestle, right? And some people are going to be better than others, but the ability to tell a story and connect with an audience and get them engaged and involved in what you're doing is just so special. So I always love people that do stuff like that. I love Sue Young. I think she's incredible at that. Yeah. She has this whole lore about the bloody undead bride, and like now all of these different personalities and people just are so involved in like the backstory of it all. And I think that's so neat that she can get people invested on that level. That to me transcends any physical ability in the ring.
It is. I've like first like there was like Sue Young and I was like, all right, digging that. And then there's like Susie and I'm like, okay, very benign, very cute thing. And then there's Susan. And like when she first came out as Susan, I didn't make the connection. I was like, wait, it took me a second. I was like, that's wow. And it's like
I love storytelling in wrestling. I think it's a lost art. I'm really, really fortunate that my coaches stressed that to us, the psychology and telling stories and getting people invested. And that it's one thing to be a phenomenal, athletic, agile performer. It's another thing to like get people interested in what you're actually doing. And it's just, I'm just very grateful for that, because I've always liked the storytelling aspect of wrestling, but hearing that it truly is important from some of the top people in the industry drives it home,
I mean, yeah, you're right. I did my little bit of research out of the Black and Brave Academy out in Iowa, which is run by, I believe it's Seth Rollins, or I don't know if he goes by his proper name. And who are the other folks that are involved with that school?
So there's Merrick Brave. He's the other head trainer. He's Seth Rollins' tag team partner from couple of years back. And then there's Matt Mayday, aka Crotch, who is their assistant trainer, and he's incredible as well. All three of them have such a good vibe. Like they all have distinct personalities that just work really well together. And it's really, really nice because as tough as they are as coaches, you know, they're only tough on you because they want you to succeed and they want you to be the best. They want you to be the greatest. They don't want you to be just like okay or mediocre, right? The expectations very, very high. But that's so good because it just encourages you to be great yourself. Like, why settle? Like, why just be okay when you can be great? And even on the days where you're struggling and it's hard and, you know, you're questioning, like they're supportive. And if you can't get something, they're very good mechanically. Like they can break it down to like the tiniest building blocks for you and make it digestible and like give you insight that you wouldn't even have thought existed on wrestling, right? Like the way their minds operate and the amount of knowledge the three of them have amassed over the years and they're willing to share with you is just such a special thing. And that they're always there. They're always there with us, like training and teaching us in the ring and doing CrossFit. Like it's like a family and it's such a special thing to be a part of.
Yeah. I mean, and the supportive environment is important simply because, you know, a lot of those guys who are training you, like maybe they came from environments that weren't so supportive. They saw those issues in the past. And I've talked with other wrestlers where the way they came up wasn't great and they didn't want to perpetuate that cycle. So the folks coming in now, you have the benefit of guys who, you know, folks who are going to make sure you're trained correctly, you know, make sure you're set up for success, and also make sure, again, a high standard that what you do out there, you know,
the highest standard. I do not think there is a wrestling school out there right now that has a higher standard than what we're held to. No way.
No way.
Mean, I'll die on that hill.
Okay. You know, I'll kind of always brag on my region, New England. Here we've got Creative Pro in New York, we've got Bell Time, we've got, you know,
yeah, you guys, there's been some great talent coming out of New England lately. I will give you that. You guys definitely have some fun performers that have been making some waves. Like just getting to go up there and be part of that scene as with WWR has been a treat. And just to get to work with different people with different backgrounds, because everybody's trained differently. There's no right or wrong way to be trained.
No.
I mean, I guess there is a right and a wrong way to be trained, but there are multiple like avenues that are still correct, if that makes sense. So it's just always fun to work with people from different backgrounds who have learned differently or might know things that you don't know or just have different takes. Like, and that's part of the fun as well.
Who's maybe the wrestler, maybe before you go out to your match or after you're done, who's maybe while you've been at WR for a couple of shows, who's like the one you maybe peek around the curtain and want to get a look at and want to see what they're doing?
I mean, I try to, if I can't watch all the matches that day, because sometimes you can't, like you're busy, you're working, you're getting ready for your own match or whatever, you have something you have to do. I do try to like go back and watch the show because I just have so much respect for all the girls on that show and I want to see what they're doing, not just in a be prepared for your potential future opponents standpoint, but also see what people are doing and see how you can be different from everybody else there. You know, I'm sure that we've all been to wrestling shows where everybody's done the same old stuff in the ring, like every match, you know, and it does happen. And I think it's a little bit of a lack of communication issue amongst all of us, but you can also take that into your own hands and be in control of that and see how you can differentiate yourself from your opponents. And I just have like I said, I just love watching their matches. I have so much respect for those girls. Like Willow always puts on like a 5-star match. Like Trish just puts on a 5-star match and she's like so charismatic and just has this energy that like people want to get behind her. She's so fun to watch when she wrestles. I mean, even like, you know, some of the girls from Damian Adams camp, like Ashley and Megan and Tina are just incredible performers as well. Like it's just, to me, like part of supporting other women in this business is watching them and being in their corner and elevating them so everybody can eat, you know?
Oh yeah. Rising tide lifts all boats. And that wasn't always the case in the independent scene. You're going back, 15 years where everyone's kind of worried about their spot. And now everyone, it's a very much like a team environment. Like if I do well, you do well, and we all do well, and we all see the benefits.
I've noticed just in my travels, my year of travels, what I have noticed is when you get opportunities at more established, larger independent wrestling promotions like Beyond or GCW or WWR Plus, right? These larger promotions, the people there are there because they're good, they're there because they're confident, and they're not concerned with what other people are doing or losing their spot, right? Like it's more of a team effort. And I realized to be in that mindset is very small and insignificant, and that's not good, you know, and that's something that comes from people who don't get to experience growth. And you should always want to grow as a person, as a performer. You want to grow physically, you want to grow emotionally, you want to have more intellect. And that's a part of growth, is recognizing that people aren't always your competition, you know, and you need to focus on yourself and what you're doing, not what other people are doing, because everybody who is there because they deserve to be there, regardless of how long they've been wrestling, regardless of like how good or bad you personally perceive them to be, regardless of any of those factors. If you are all on a show together, you're there because somebody thinks you're good enough that everybody should be there, right? So the idea of it being like super crazy, like undercutting competition, is silly to me, right? Your spot's there because you're good and you've earned it. Embrace that. Like
Exactly.
be happy for yourself and be happy for your friends.
Yeah, they have, you know, Beyond's got a show this Thursday before American Rana end of the month. They just announced a tag match that I'm very excited about. And it's one particular tag team's Beyond debut. The Kings of the District are making their debut.
Yes, they're from the DMV. They're an incredible team. I'm so excited to see them on Beyond Wrestling. There's been a lot of good wrestling coming out of the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area lately, which is super exciting. I mean, you got Kings of the District, Trish, Erica Lee, like it's just stacked, and lots of good talent in general. I feel like people sometimes sleep on this region, but it's consistent in producing talent that's good. There might not be a lot of talent from this area, but the people who are out there getting at it are killing it. Really. So proud of my fellow DMV peeps. I've got all the love for you. Janai Kai, right?
Janai Kai, so good, Yo-Yo. Yep.
They're incredible. They're killing it. I feel like we're a small area, but the people who are doing it so great, and I'm so happy for all of them.
I've had the pleasure to interview both Eel O'Neill and Jordan, you know, separate occasions. I've had Erica Lee on a bunch. She's like a friend of the show. That whole region is maybe gets overlooked. The folks are really good. I mean, Erica Lee's had a great, you know, year and change.
She's been on one this year, man. She's killing it.
She's been on one. I'm a huge fan of Jordan and Eel. And then they're in a tag match against the Shook Crew at Beyond. Like that's a big
that'll be so fun, because that's such a clash of like all these different personalities like in a match. I can't wait to see that. I'm so ready for it.
And Shook Crew's already got a video out there. Check it out when we're done here. Bryce and Bobby, those guys, you know, so creative.
Top tier performers. Absolutely. I am always sports entertained by the Shook Crew. I will say that.
Same. Max Caster was my very first guest last summer before he had just appeared on AEW Dark. I had a chance to get him on, and I think he was signed a few months later. Those guys are amazing. Now the next WR show. Now you had a bit of a accident. What happened after last WR show?
Oh no, I'm clumsy. I fell going down the stairs and dislocated my shoulder when I was leaving the venue. It wasn't even a wrestling thing, which I guess is good, because that means everybody is safe and effective in the ring, right? So that's good that it was not a wrestling injury. Like, I think that's a very good thing. But yeah, you know, I can wrestle, but apparently I can't walk. So I did have a little bit of a shoulder dislocation, but I had to take some time off for that. I'm definitely hoping to be back for the 822 show. That would be awesome. I've been busting my little witchy behind trying to rehab this shoulder. I've been doing PT 5 days a week. I've been going to the doctor. I've been eating clean, getting sleep, ice, anti-inflammatory medication, CBD, like anything I can do to help with this injury and have it close as possible to 100% by the 22nd. I think I'm going to be good to go. I'm making some serious strides. I don't think like getting back to wrestling is going to be too much of a hindrance. I think I'll be good to go because it'll be like 6 weeks since I was hurt when the 22nd rolls around. So I should be good. But getting back to CrossFit is going to be a little bit of a challenge because with any shoulder injury, the first thing that it interferes with is shoulder to overhead. And anybody who's familiar with CrossFit knows there's a lot of shoulder to overhead lifts. So, and a lot of gymnastics. So I think that my rehab for wrestling will probably be complete long before my rehab for returning to CrossFit full speed. But it's all good because it just motivates you, and it's just, I just like, man, I just can't sit around feeling sorry for myself. I'm not that type of person. Like as soon as I got clearance to go in the gym, like even if it was just like walking on the treadmill or like riding the bike, like I was doing that. And then I was like, okay, as long as I don't lift over my head, I can still like do like little air squats and like I can do like lunges and stuff like that. So I've really been trying to adapt and do a lot of band exercises to strengthen my rotator cuff so I don't have any issues with my shoulder in the future. It's just like taking control of your recovery, like, and not being like you can be frustrated by it. I was very mad about it. I had a lot of awesome stuff lined up that I had to pull off of, unfortunately, but you just have to move past it and take control of your recovery and just come back better than you were before.
That's awesome. And don't feel bad. Those stairs are you were not the first
I'm
person
never
to have issues.
walking down those stairs again. I will walk my little witchy ass all the way down and around through the back through the bar. I'm never going down those stairs again. Nope, not happening. And I'm never like, nope, it's just
Nope, fire escaping it down the back. There you go.
Nope, never. I'm done. Burn those stairs down. I'm done with it. Just get rid of them.
But having a great attitude, and I wanted to bring up something I've seen mentioned about you out of the ring, that you are like ring crew helping everywhere and anywhere. And that is, to a lot of people, maybe doesn't mean a lot to fans, but I think in general, like having a good attitude, like you will do anything, set up rings, set up chairs. For folks who maybe aren't super familiar, what is, and I've always wanted to ask this because it's a weird, dumb question, but I'm one of these, like, I'm a nuts and bolts guy. I love how things are put together and how things work.
I'll answer any ring crew questions you have. I will. I mean, like, I think I've done everything on ring crew at this point. So
what are some of the things that like paying fans like don't see and don't know about, and that are either just part of getting a show put together? Like they just walk into the venue, see the ring, see the chairs, and the show happens. But what are kind of
one of the things that I've actually encountered, and believe this is crazy, but there are a lot of people in wrestling who have no idea how the ring goes up and comes down. Like they're willing to help. They're willing to help you get the ring up, like if you tell them what to do, but they could not do it themselves. They have no idea how the ring goes up and down. And that was always crazy to me because before I went to wrestling school, I did ring crew because I had a whole year to kill. You have to wait. There's obviously a wait list for Black and Brave. So had a whole year to kill. So I just went around and did ring crew everywhere. And that's where I learned. I used to help out at Impact when they were on the East Coast before I went to wrestling school. So I learned a lot about ring crew there, especially like for TV and stuff, just like weird little tips and tricks that maybe don't necessarily apply at a small indie. But yeah, apparently not a lot of people have that experience these days, especially women. You know, there's usually the boys put it up so we don't have to, or sometimes people just go to a wrestling school and the ring doesn't ever move. That was not the case at my school. They run shows every weekend. So the students are here and they're doing the grunt work. So break that ring down and load it up, and then set it up and break it down again, and then set it up and break it down again. So we have plenty of ring crew experience. But yeah, just sometimes like finding, like, I would imagine like if there's not somebody like me there, just finding someone who does know the process from start to finish, like is a struggle sometimes. I would say that, you know, one of the other things, like during the pandemic, when I was doing ring crew at GCW, we had to sell all of our seats in pods. So like we just would have to follow Brett Lauderdale around carrying chairs. And he'd be like, 2 here. Okay, walk 6 feet, 3 here. All right, walk back 7 feet, 4 here. Like, and that just takes time, and it's a lot more strenuous than just setting them down in rows. And that was also, I think that weekend we set like 500 chairs in the sand. So like that's not necessarily a putting up the ring thing that was just very, very difficult. It was just like, yeah, on the beach in the heat, let's carry 500 chairs out, because you can't roll something across sand, right?
Nope.
So like the people who helped out that day were real troopers, because that was not necessarily the most fun thing in the world to do. I'm trying to think about like just clean up in general, like picking up trash, like that's a big part of it. Like you can't leave the venue an absolute wreck. Like you want to come back and be there again. You know, especially like I said, you know, maybe not so much a WWR plus, it's like a little bit different, right? So like we got to pick up trash, break the ring down. The ring stays there, so it's not like a huge load in, load out process. But yeah, like, okay, so you have a show that has death match. Guess what? Grab a broom, because you're sweeping up a bunch of like bloody glass and like all that shit. And that takes time. Even, and then there's just stuff like doing security. Like sometimes when you have 1,000 people at a show, like, okay, maybe you're not physically involved, but you're really helping by just being the one person who watches this door all night, or somebody that can like put wristbands on people at the door, or like somebody that's like a thinker. Like they might not be the most physically strong person on the ring crew, but you know that they're dependable, and you can put them up front and they can go down a list of tickets and mark people off, and it's not going to be a problem, right? So like there's so many different things that go into the wrestling show. Or just like runners, like you need somebody to run gear to the back. I'm sure you've seen like on TV, like they drop the entrance attire in the corner and someone takes it to the back for them. So you need somebody that can do that. And you need somebody that can just kind of be a courier and like communicate messages between like production and the wrestlers in the ring. You need people to help get talent to the back if they're injured. You need people to like go on runs for like water and towels and what have you, right? There's a million there's so much that goes into it. So it's just but it's a good experience because you meet a lot of people doing it, and I think everybody should try to do ring crew because it's such a great networking opportunity. Because what do you think's going on while you're setting the ring up? Like you're all talking to each other, and you're meeting people, and you're making connections. So like even if you don't get an opportunity at that particular place, like you might meet somebody else who can give you an opportunity elsewhere. Like, and it's all just, I guess, to me, it's a very important piece of the puzzle. I know a lot of people have no interest in doing it, but I encourage you, especially if you're a new wrestler, like go do some ring crew and just, if for no other reason, to just meet some people and talk to people and like get out of your shell a little bit.
So how about networking? I feel like I maybe have a special appreciation for it. Before I started getting back into shows, I spent 5 years volunteering with our roller derby league here in Connecticut.
Oh,
and
cool.
The skaters do everything: set up the track, set up chairs, all that stuff you talked about happens before and after games. So I've seen it. I've been there. I used to run the scoreboard, so I would set that up, run cables, set up screens. So I've totally been there. I totally get it, and that's why I had questions, because I have appreciation for it.
Oh well, yeah, it's such a huge part of the puzzle, and it's just such a good experience for people to have. It like builds grit. It's good to do. It's good to get your hands dirty.
And working, because you mentioned GCW, I mean, that is that's a different environment. The energy is just, GCW shows are a different animal. Kind of what's that like, being in the midst of that when you're not a wrestler, when you're just kind of, maybe setting chairs up and kind of watching the door and kind of seeing all that happen?
First off, it's a really long day. People I'm dead serious. Like a lot of times people show up to do ring crew and they set the ring and they set the chairs, and then they get to sit on their ass until the ring has to come down. That's not the case there. Like if you do ring crew there, you're down there at 9 a.m. You're not out until 1 a.m. Like there's so much, because they're just drawing massive crowds. They're a huge indie. There's moving parts. They have production. They stream. There's a lot going on. So it's just, it's like, the good thing there is like, for it being so big, a lot of the fans are actually really cool and like very self-policing. So there's not like any issues in that sense. Like everybody's truly there to have a good time. But yeah, it's just there. It's like, there's a lot to be done when you do ring crew there. There's a lot of cleanup, there's a lot of sweeping. And when you stream, I don't know if people know this, but when you like stream on Fight or something like that, you have like 1 minute to 2 minutes between matches, if that, to get everything cleared out of the ring and get ready for the next match. Cause like you're on a time, your time is money. Like they will cut your stream if you go over. Like not even from just like a clean the shit up and get out of the ring standpoint, but if you are ever wrestling on a show that is on Fight or IWTV and they tell you have a time limit, you better stay in it, because if everybody goes over their time, they will cut that stream and nobody gets to see the main event and you're in trouble. So it's just like learning aspects of production and like how to like discreetly get things out of the ring and how to do it quickly and effectively. And that type of stuff comes into play there. Right. So it's just been such a good experience in that sense.
I will say, between like Beyond and shows up here, we and I say we fans, we're pretty good about self-policing and keeping it as in line as we can. But deathmatch things get out of hand. I've gone to.
I've never actually. I will say I've been doing ring care there a little bit more than a year now, year and a half, and I have never been there when there's been like an issue with like fans being assholes or anything like that. Like and that's a whole year I've never been there when there's been a security issue. Everybody is very in control of themselves. It's wild. And like, I know that I saw recently a lot of people were like very upset that the fans were a little emotional and maybe threw some trash in the ring. And you know, honestly, like, you know, from a production standpoint, when that stuff starts happening, you can't necessarily control that, but you can get the performers out safely, and then you can just pick up the trash afterwards. And honestly, like, nobody was like, most of the stuff that was thrown was like empty chip bags and paper plates and like crushed cans. Like, it wasn't anything ridiculous. And it was really nice because some of the fans stayed behind after the show and helped us clean up all that trash. So it's like their heart was in the right place. They were just a little upset. They were a little upset, and I totally understand that. So
speaking of which, as a wrestler and maybe as a fan, what was your reaction to the outcome of that match? We're clearly talking about Cardona versus
Nick Gage. I was so surprised. I had no idea that was going to happen. Like, it's first off, it's not any of my business. I don't want to know, because I like being a fan and I like being surprised. Secondly, it was just like you could just feel like the energy just like people
wow,
just like the ass just fell out. It was just bad. Like, it was great. It was great because you want to create those moments in wrestling that render people speechless. But it was such a moment because people just like were so blindsided. Like, I was blindsided. Like, everybody on crew was blindsided. I don't think anybody knew that was going to happen. Like, nobody even thought that was going to happen. It just wasn't even a thought. Like, and then, like, you know, and then you're like, oh shit, okay, that happened. Like, man, we got to get him out of the ring before they kill him. You know, like, so you're immediately like back in like, oh wait, I have a job to do here mode. It's like, oh shit, like, wait, we got to do stuff now. Like, we don't have time to be surprised. But yeah, it was wild. It was such a wild moment. And I mean, I love, like, you know, obviously, like, being a wrestler, I love when I don't know, like, when something crazy happens or when something happens that I wasn't expecting. I love that. I love that feeling. It makes me feel like 10 years old again, like waiting for Monday Night Raw every week, not knowing anything is going to happen or might happen or overthinking anything, right? It's the best. I wish that we could have more moments like that in wrestling.
It was a moment, like, I'm watching it, and okay, we're talking about Matt Cardona versus Nick Gage for the GCW title. I was having conversations, kind of hearing back on Twitter, just saying, hey, Cardona might win this thing. And they're like, I'm people like, no, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
no way. Yeah, like, no way. Nobody in that building thought that was going to happen. I didn't think that was going to happen. I was like, dude, Nick's going to kick his ass. It'll be quick. You know?
I have to imagine, and I've briefly met Brett, like, at one or two shows, briefly, just kind of, hi, how are you? You know, appreciate what you do. But I have this feeling, based on what I've seen him do interviews, that when that happened, he just kind of sat there with like that little smile on his face, that kind of look that he gets, that he's like, and then he reacted. But
Brett
I feel
is
like
very cerebral. He's an excellent businessman. He does not get credit for being as savvy as he truly is. I will say that. It's very savvy.
And he'll be popping up at American Rana on the 22nd, that long day of wrestling.
I don't think that they're going to throw trash at White Eagle. I could be wrong.
You never know, but I feel like there's going to be
I hope not, because that will be the second time I have to pick up trash people threw at that asshole. I'll be so mad. I'll be like, I'm tired of picking up trash. Stop making people angry.
I think we can tamp it down. You may get one or two idiots, but, you know, and it's also American Rana. It's Beyond's biggest.
I feel like the Boston crowd's a little different than the Philly, New Jersey crowd. Like, crowds in wrestling are different, right? So like when you go wrestle different places, like, you realize like not every crowd wants the same thing, and like not every crowd like is, you know, is passionate or informed, right? So you have your crowds that are like Chicago, like Philadelphia, and, you know, New York, New Jersey, like big wrestling crowds, right? And then like you go somewhere like I just recently wrestled in Nebraska, and it was really really nice because like it wasn't like the crowd that I was used to in a good way. It's like they were truly just like, oh, we're just along for the ride. Yeah, whatever you're doing, we're about that. That's cool. Let's cheer. You know, it was so great. Like it was like very like old school, like territories kind of is what it reminded me of. And so it just goes to show like regionally wrestling is different in the perception of wrestling and what the fans expect.
It is. I feel like Worcester, Mass crowds and Connecticut too were less about trash and more about letting you vocally
less about fuckery, more about performance.
And we would sooner just chant stuff and make up a fun chant or a not so fun chant or a profane chant, and we'll let you know how we feel that way, as opposed to throwing things, because we know y'all got to clean up. I
Well,
feel
the
like
other thing too is you have to remember like that crowd, while being very passionate, is also a lot of people who are ECW fans from back in the
yeah,
day,
yeah,
or like CZW fans. So like they have a specific taste that they enjoy in wrestling, and they have a specific way they react, and that's great because they're just like their own little happy community, and just like
yeah,
you guys have your little happy community, right?
yeah.
But yeah, it's always been interesting to me like how fans perceive wrestling different all over
Yeah.
this country. And one of the things that's really interesting is I've noticed is I think a lot of the bigger companies got really, really comfortable like having the wrestlers playing the fans and being able to like pipe in the reactions they wanted to things. And now that the fans are here, like they're gonna let you know.
Yeah.
You
So
you can't control the fans. Like if they're not into something, there's no pipe and noise over them, right? So I feel like it's been a little bit of an adjustment period, getting back
yeah.
to having people's opinions in the mix again. Because for a while, like they weren't there to make their voice heard, but now the fans are back and they're making their voice heard, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love wrestling fans.
Yeah, everyone's relearning. For yourself, and I've been asking this question, over the past few months, in and post COVID, like what's it been like for you to kind of stay in the right kind of headspace and right physical place when no wrestling wasn't happening, or
So that's really interesting because when I got out of wrestling school in March of 2020, there was no wrestling. We were in lockdown. But just because you can't physically get in a ring doesn't mean you can't be improving yourself as a performer. You can work on your character, you can work on your gear, you can work on your merch, you can work on your promo, you can go to the gym, you can work on your body, you can work on your diet, you can work on your marketing, you can work on your social media. Like you don't have to physically step into a ring to improve as a performer. And while it was really tough because I wanted to hit the ground running and wrestle right out the gate, it made me, I'm kind of thankful for it because it gave me like a little bit of a grace period where I could think about like how I wanted to present myself and what I wanted to do. So when I did get the opportunity to perform in front of people, I had my shit together. So it's just like, sometimes you have to focus on what you can control and not what you can't. I can't control that there's no wrestling, but I can control all these other factors that will make me a better performer when wrestling comes back. So that's what I focused on.
Yep, that's great. Like some folks like aren't great at social media or aren't great at merch. I'm like, you've got good merch. I love your t-shirts.
Oh, thank you. I design all my merch.
I mean, it's
like DIY. I'm like Glenn Danzig up in here. I like make all my own merch, design all my own gear. I mail everything out to my fans. We have a little guest down here.
That's no problem. Hey, buddy.
I'll pick her up. This is the Empress.
The Empress. Oh, hello.
Yes, she's a pug. You probably heard her in the background making all sorts of noise.
That's fine.
She was just a sweet little baby.
Okay. How
I'm
long?
Giving you attention. So I can go back to my interview.
That's all they want.
Am I allowed to go back? I know you're the queen of the castle. Am I allowed to go back? All right.
Okay. Sorry, Empress. We'll get you some
she
more.
She just kind of like popped her head up, like, "Hey, mom, I'm here." Yeah, like right now, I need some love. So, you just see it like coming in from the corner down here. Like there's just like this little head. Like,
hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
She's great.
So as we move, we got 8/22. Say You'll Be There, WWR.
Yes.
That show's slowly coming together. You should be cleared, so you should be good to go. I like the idea of you and Riley Shepard as a tag team, especially like the tag team division, both in WWR and beyond, has been it's a little sparse right now, just because folks have moved on and folks have split and gone their own ways. So we could use more tag teams, and I'm pretty sure if that was presented as an idea,
I would love to team up with Riley. I think that would be incredible. That's like, could there be a better combination of female energy? Like,
that's it works. Sometimes it just works. Like, and it doesn't. It's like, oh, okay. You don't think of it together as first, and you're like, oh, that makes sense.
It does. It's super exciting. I love being like, I really do love being a part of WWR. I feel so honored that I get to be on that roster. Like, I don't think people understand like how over the moon I am about it. I love it so much.
I mean, and the women that have come through there, the Jordan Graces and the Kimberlys and the Deanna.
Oh yeah, they're all like legends, right? Like I would love to one day have a match with like Jordan Grace or Kimberly. Like that would be such a good experience. You would learn so much just from being with them in the ring. I would love to have one of those matches.
That will be, I am excited for that match they announced for American Rana, which is Kimber and Deanna Purrazzo against Masha and Layla Hirsch.
I wrestled Masha and she kicked my ass. She does not play. Masha is tough as nails. Like, I can't wait to watch that match. I can't wait to see Masha kick people's asses all over the ring. I like when she's kicking ass, just not when she's kicking my ass, if that makes sense.
Oh no, and this was actually goes right into my next question, because Masha can't, she was kind of stuck in Japan for COVID, got back to the US and kind of hit the ground running, and win or lose, she's just beating people.
She's built different. There is not a performer like Masha on the indies these days. Like, she is one of a kind in the best way. I cannot say enough kind words about her either. She's just awesome. Like, just as somebody who's so talented and so well-rounded in their training and just like gives their all every time they perform. Masha's the shit. She rules. Like, everybody should definitely like enjoy Masha while they can, because she's definitely destined for greatness. Masha's the best.
You standing across the ring from her, you as a performer, again, you kind of just starting your career, and just standing across the ring from her, what's the thought process just before that bell rings?
You're like, all right, this isn't a wrestling match. I'm going to war today. Like, and I want to win, but I got to survive. And it just like any plan you had, any game plan you had, any tactics you were going to utilize, like to win, like are out the door. It's truly just, she's just wild. And like, it just brings out like something in you that you didn't know existed, because it forces you to adapt to her unpredictable game, Yeah. So it was such a good experience. I came up shorthanded in that match, but it definitely like made me realize like I can think I have all of the answers, but someone might change the questions, So it definitely made me like more adaptable as a performer to have that experience and learn from it. Like, that I can't always necessarily control what's going on, but I can shift gears and figure out what I need to do to win.
Yeah, Masha's going to change the questions, and then they're going to be in Russian, and then you're not going to understand what's happening.
Oh my God, she was like kicking my ass and yelling at me in Russian, and I'm like, I don't know what she's saying, but it's probably not nice.
But everyone that I've ever kind of chatted with that has wrestled her after the fact has said, like, it's a fight with her, but they enjoy watching her just hammer other people, not them.
It's she's an immaculate performer, honestly.
So as folks come to know you, what are some things that maybe we haven't seen, or we don't? What do you think like your strengths are? What do you think your weaknesses are? Again, you're fairly new, so I don't know if that's a fair question. What are some things you think you do very well, and what are some things you think you could improve on?
I am a very, very skilled technical wrestler. I have a background in martial arts, Isshinryu karate and jiu-jitsu, so I'm definitely more comfortable on the ground. And I like using my height and my strength to pin people down and pick them apart methodically and work limbs and get my victory that way. To me, wrestling is like a game of chess. It's not necessarily a war. It's not necessarily acrobatics. It's how can I methodically win this match in the best and most effective way possible with what I have in my tool bag. As far as something that I could improve upon as a performer and as a wrestler, I feel like a lot of my losses have come because I have been simply too passive in the ring before. So when this good witch returns, I'm not going to be a bad witch. I might be the baddest witch, and I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive. I'm going to be a good witch, but I'm not maybe going to be so nice, because that's why I think I was losing a lot, is I just was not as aggressive as my opponents. And damn it, I want to win. I want victories so bad. Like, and I don't want them to slip through my fingers because I couldn't get to that level. Right. So when I come back, like, it's definitely going to be a gear shift with me. I've learned a lot in the few weeks I've been out, just watching my old matches back and trying to figure out why I was not successful or why I did not pick up a win. And that was the common denominator. So definitely tapping into my inner bad witch. In a good way, of course.
Aggressive is not bad. And that's the one thing, just so you're aggressive doesn't mean you're quote unquote bad. It just means you're being a little aggressive. I mean, as a competitor, when you said about losses, is it worse to lose by that much or to lose just getting over dominated? Because that answer is always different depending on who I'm talking to.
I mean, to me, to lose sucks either way. Yes. But the best thing you can do is watch your tape back, figure out why you lost, and don't let it happen again. Especially I did competitive Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and for every fight that I would win, there were fights I would lose. And when I would lose those fights, I would go back and watch and try to find where I moved wrong, or where I created an opening for the other person, or where I simply just didn't take advantage of an opening that was presented to me. And, you know, you can't grow and you can't get to the top of your game without us experiencing a little bit of failure, because that's the best teacher any of us can have, is to fail at something. So as much as I want to pull off more wins, I definitely try to take all of my losses in stride and learn from them and not repeat the same mistakes.
I mean, you say technical wrestling. I mean, we were just talking about Kings of the District. I mean, you versus Jordan Blade. Jordan's very much a similar type. I've interviewed her. She's very much get on the ground, roll around, find the opening. So maybe at some point in the future, we see Kaia McKenna versus Jordan Blade. I'm sure that would be a great match to watch.
I would love that matchup. That would definitely be chess, wrestling chess. You know, I was really influenced by a lot of technical wrestlers. I love like Dean Malenko, like Negro Navarro, Nigel McGuinness, and Daniel Bryan. Those are heavy influences for me and my style. So that's what I like. So that's, you know, everybody has what they like and what they like to do and what they're good at. And that's like my little home base and where I'm comfortable, you know?
Nice. Yeah,
I've been watching. There's such an art to it.
Yeah, I've been watching like some old WCW here and there. I'm a big fan of 83 Weeks, and they've been doing the watch alongs with the different older shows. And they had one with it was like Dean Malenko versus, I think it was Dean Malenko versus Chris Jericho. And it was just like this 18-minute.
It was a clinic.
Yeah, it was just like technical. No crazy, like, you know, like Chris to the Lion Cell, but for the most part, it was all mat wrestling for like 15 minutes. And I'm just like, this is great. I hadn't seen the match in
and it's different, and it's something you can truly make your own. And when you can be and do anything, anything, like there's no limitations, right? You can literally do whatever you want. Why do you want to do what everybody else is doing? And if everybody did the same stuff, like it wouldn't be interesting. You know, if everybody was a technical wrestler, like it would suck, right? If everybody's a high flyer, it sucks. If everybody's a brawler, it sucks. You truly it's a variety show, and you need everybody bringing what they do best to the table for it to be successful.
Okay. Is that the bulk of I was going to ask about your athletic background. You mentioned competitive jiu-jitsu,
yes.
Karate. Was there any other sports in the background, or kind of just strictly martial arts?
No, I mean, I always kind of played sports growing up, but I was never like a team athlete on any other sports, really. I was definitely more focused on martial arts. All growing up, I was an ISKA competitor in Shinrin Karate, and then I was an IBJJF competitor in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, geez.
So that's where I focused a lot of my energy. I've always just kind of done better at individual sports for some reason. You know, I was the kid, like when I played soccer as a kid, like I would get bored and pick the grass, you know, like I just,
all right.
And like, I don't like to run. I run once a year. And that's when I do Murph at CrossFit. Like that's my yearly run. I don't run. I don't like, I'm just, you know, I'm definitely like, that's what I like. So that's what I do. And that's what I'm good at. So that's why I hone it. I don't necessarily worry about things that I'm not good at. I worry about what I am good at and how I can be great at it. So
that's awesome. See, you keep talking about
the karate. Athletic background.
You keep talking about the karate and the jiu-jitsu. Yeah, you and Jordan Blade need to be in a ring. Hopefully up here in Worcester, so I can see it happen in front of me.
I know I don't look like your quintessential ass kicker type wrestler, but I would love to have like a match at Bloodsport one day. Like
Josh Barnett. Josh Barnett, you looking for new blood in Bloodsport? Here's the thing: the past 2 years, like he's really been about bringing in newer folks. And
dude, like Layla is incredible. Like KZT, Janai, like Sumi. Oh my god! Every time I train with Sumi, she just like kicks my ass, and I learn so much from her. I love going to Worldwide Dojo and training with Sumi. Like she's just such an incredible women's performer, and is so integral to the history and the evolution of women's wrestling on the indies and in the mainstream. She's just an incredible figure in wrestling, and I feel honored there's like something in my face. I feel honored every time I get to sit under her learning tree.
That's awesome.
We love Sydney.
Yeah, Josh, Mr. Barnett, if you're looking for newer folks for Bloodsport, let's get it done. And another kind of question before I let you go, what I always ask is, what's in the Hulu Netflix queue? Like, what do you put on to kind of like maybe wind down, or maybe something you're invested in?
I just watch old wrestling. Like, I don't know if it's called like digital tape trading, but like it's like tape trading but digital. I just try to I love watching like Kings Road, Michinoku Pro, like
Okay, there you go.
old AAA, like anything that Noah, anything I can get my
Okay.
hands on that's just different. I'm kind of a wrestling nerd.
Okay.
That's
I
what I
found
watch in my spare time. It's just more wrestling. I'm not interested in like reality TV or like
okay.
just mindless TV. Like I work on a computer during the day, so I don't really want to sit in front of a screen when I don't have to, if that makes sense.
Oh no, that
And
makes complete sense.
I can watch like wrestling and I can watch sports, but like I just have no interest in watching any kind of garbage on TV. That's terrible. I just can't get into it. I'm like,
that's why I asked the question, because everyone's into different stuff. I had found last summer
I like sewing, I like reading, I like going to the gym, I like walking my dog. A lot of my hobbies are things that are not involving technology because like I said, I work on a computer full time during the day. So when I get to pick stuff, like I love riding my bike. I just want to like get up and away from like screens.
So are you reading? Are you an audiobook person, or are you a physical book person, or are you a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I like physical books. I like reading books about witchy stuff.
Okay. I had found
I like reading books about like the history of punk rock. Definitely into that type of stuff. I'm a big punk rock fan, so anything like that.
Okay. I had found some old ROH DVDs at like a flea market consignment place last summer.
That's a find. You might be sitting on some money.
And I mean, they're not in the greatest of shape. They're like 02, 03. If you
God.
If you give me a sec, let me see if I can find them, and I'll read off some of the matches. And I think it's
when you're done with them, if you want to send them down to me, they will have a great home. I'm just saying. I love stuff like that.
Let me see if I can. I should have had them out, but I don't. But some of them have like, it's like Roderick Strong versus Nigel McGuinness, and like Daniel Bryan.
Excellent matches.
It's like Daniel Bryan
of the Indies, goats of the Indies. Nigel McGuinness, Roderick Strong. I don't think Roderick Strong gets enough credit for being great as he was, and consistently great, like for
all
years.
The time.
Like, holy shit, yeah, he's definitely one of like the goats of the Indies, in my opinion.
There's like a Samoa Joe versus like Chris Daniels versus Nigel McGuinness, and like a triple threat, like all these. I'll shoot them to you separately because I should have had. I didn't think I was going to talk about it, but I'll shoot pictures of them to you, and if I'm done with them, you are more than welcome to them.
Oh my God, yes, please. Make a very happy good witch.
Now where can folks find you on social media, get some of your merch? Where can folks track you down?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Kaia MCK, so KAIA MCK. And I don't have Facebook. Facebook's crazy. I avoid it. It's scary. Facebook's scary.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I'm very limited.
I do have a merch store, KaiaMcKenna.bigcartel.com. And I do have new shirts that'll be here in like a week and a half. And I just got these new little cute stickers that have pugs. They're like a tarot card with pugs. So if you want some stickers and shirts, you can check that out. I have 8x10s, enamel pins, all kinds of little goodies.
Pins are the thing now. Pins have kind of seemed to like they were around, they went away, and they kind of came back recently over the past couple of years.
I love a good enamel pin. I don't know, where's my fanny pack? I've got some fun ones. I think I only have like 4. I have my own because I've got to have good witchy energy. I have my GCW Kobe pin from LA. I have my Kubo, awesome. And then I'm a huge hockey fan, so I have like my little Washington Capitals pin.
Okay,
I used to have a Liger pin, but I lost him at homecoming weekend. I must have there were like so many people in the crowd. I probably just brushed against somebody and he fell off my fanny pack. So I have to get a replacement Liger pin.
Well, I am a Rangers fan. We don't have any quarrel because I love Alexander Ovechkin. The summer they won the cup was just the most entertaining thing for me because they just hung around with it all summer.
It was so fun. I was bartending at the time. Obviously, I was living in DC. I was bartending at the time, and they brought the cup to our bar. It was really fun.
I one of my favorite things is that they had a day at Nationals Park where they brought the cup to the ball game. And they had a thing.
I like when they were like swimming with it in the DuPont Circle fountains. And
then the next game, Ovechkin pulls up with the cup, kind of walks up and said, "Hey, can I come to the game?" And is like hanging out up in the mezzanine with the Stanley Cup. So I'm a Rangers fan, but
made it part of the community, and it was really nice.
Definitely, I've never played hockey, but I became a fan as a kid. I enjoy it. I love it when
I love hockey.
you know, the different fans and different cities that you wouldn't expect to embrace hockey have, like Nashville, Vegas.
Yeah, in the South, it's catching on. You know, like it's always been like a more Canada, like Mid-Atlantic, Northeast thing, but I feel like the central, like the Midwest and the South, are really getting into hockey now.
We're gonna ramble about hockey, so I will end us. But Kai, thank you so much.
Of course, thank you so much for having me this evening. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, it ended a little awkward because if we start talking hockey, we're gonna be here for a little bit. Maybe when the season starts, we'll do like a kind of an NHL season preview, and we'll do that. Anyway, folks, you can find Kaia McKenna. I will throw her socials under her picture here. And everyone have a good one. Kai, thank you so much. And we hope to see you in the ring.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care of yourself. Stay magical.